Yay, going live.
Good, good, good.
Hi, guys.
Hello, hello, hello.
We are here.
It's
What a day.
been staring at green screen all day, so that's
Well,
been my
everybody
day.
over here has been staring at white shit because like 78% of North America is covered in snow clouds right now. I had a shitload of shoveling to do this morning. Even in Texas, they're getting snow. So
Yes, I saw that, and I
I'm
know
sick and tired of snow. And my back is sore, and I have a headache. I think I'm getting sick, so I don't feel the best. It's like,
Well, thank goodness we're talking about a very simple, non-controversial episode. Sort of one where you don't have to let your opinion come through at all,
eh.
or the opposite of that. It's probably the opposite of that, to be honest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That being said, there's not a lot to this episode, really. And when I saw this was the next episode, when to do it today, I'm like, oh fuck, I don't like this episode.
Well, it's a TOS episode, but without Kirk and Spock. You know, it's moral
Yeah.
message meaning, but with the secondary cast providing a piece and a guest star that robs that steals the show. But you haven't got that Kirkness to kind of give it the action that you probably want.
Yeah, maybe. I'm surprised all the love that people are having for this episode in the comments, though, like on Facebook. There, a lot of them are talking about how it's one of Major Barrett's best as the Waxana, and yeah, I get that, but other than that, it's like, okay, this is the sciencey thing's kind of interesting, but that's glazed over a little bit. So,
Well, like I said, it's classic TOS. So if you don't like the message that comes with it, then you're going to like it. Like I don't like with Star Trek Continues. I don't like the not. I don't like it. I don't appreciate the Civil War one because I have no personal knowledge of Civil War. So that one felt like a waste of opportunity because it was like, this is a boring episode. Whereas I like but for obviously people that know the history, it's really important. But I know nothing, so it falls unbelievably flat to me, etc., etc. That's why it's kind of nice when you have aliens, because at least it kind of gives that sci-fi perspective. But Stuart,
yeah.
I will start sharing for sure, and we'll see. I mean, let's set a light goal though. Let's set straight out the gate goal. What do you want to see? We're 23 right now.
40.
Make it so.
17 people, guys. Hit that like button. While he's sharing, though, guys, really appreciate any help you can give. Olivia has sent a super chat, which is great. Super chats are a great way to let us know what you're thinking. We read them all on air, and you get your comment read and all that. So if you can, please do consider also joining the channel at the rank of commander, captain, admiral, fleet admiral, or Federation president to support us on a monthly basis, or head on over to Trekyards Patreon/Trekyards as another monthly way to help us out. Also, lots of great stuff down in the description below, such as Teespring Store, Eagle Moss. Some cool merchandise at a discounted price as well. So you can help yourself out and help us out as well, because it does help out the channel. And I don't think Samuel realizes that his microphone's not muted, so I can hear it clicking. Usually that doesn't happen, but anyway, so thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having a little bit of a discussion here. Trust me, even though it's half a life, it'll be a full episode. We won't do half a review. I mean, it'll be a full review, not just half a review. So anyway, let's prepare it, even if the state wasn't. Oh, for snow. Yeah, it's a lot of snow, and it was heavy snow, and I had to get up early to help shovel it. And then today, my back has been killing me because of it, and I'm just grumpy and old. So that's just the way it is. So anyway, and yes, people are right. It's Ensign Rowe in this episode, but not. And I still don't like her in this role either. Just really can't stand the actress. So, and yes, Stan, the alien guy, was in MASH. Charles Emerson Winchester III. I think his name was middle name is Emerson. I can't remember. Yes, but Winchester was the character's name. So, Dan says he likes this episode. Yeah, it's weird. A lot of people seem to really like this episode, but I mean, it's not bad, I guess.
I'm a bag.
Charles, he's a back. Olivia Julius throws in a $2 super chat. Loxana Troy sounds oddly like the computer. It's just a female voice, right? They all, it sounds the same. It's fine.
It's
Just
great.
saying.
It's great when they talk to each other. It's always a little
Yes.
bit. I think I even said to you once, I was like, this entire scene is just Loxana, and then... And
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, because it was like a different... I don't know why the context was different, but something was different about the scene. And we're like, oh yeah. Huh.
Yeah, which episode? Yeah, can't remember which episode that was, but yeah, that wasn't that long ago. Yeah.
Oh, I think she's like talking to people saying, where is somebody? And it's like, so it was a longer conversation. And she's trying to coerce the computer. Who's herself.
Yes.
Yes. They should have more of that this week. They should always find the gimmick. They should always do that in these episodes.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you always need more Loxana.
Yes.
Unless you're Picard and most of the crew. Just make sure you turn off the photon torpedoes when she comes aboard.
Yeah, and how hard is it on a ship this big to avoid bumping into somebody as soon as you get off a turbo lift? You have the computer to tell you, where's Loxana Troy? All right, take me somewhere she's not. That first scene where he gets off the turbo lift, and there she is. It's like, God, really?
Well, I assumed she was stalking him.
Maybe.
Because
I guess she doesn't have a comp badge per se, so the computer can't really locate her, I guess. I don't know.
Well, you've still got a biosign, but you're right that because they still do detect the diplomats. They must still do biosigns. Although I wonder, because we know she's quite a powerful telepath, could she slice through the noise, actually pinpoint his thoughts? Like, could you sense where he is?
Probably.
Well, speaking of, wasn't it just? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, wasn't it interesting how they just completely glazed over the fact that his race wasn't telepathically readable? Like, normally that's a big deal. They say it, glossed over. Like, oh yeah, that happens all the time. Like, what? Since when? Like, there was one time she was like, oh, he's so magic to me. Because remember the holodeck? The whole gimmick of the holodeck was, oh, I can't read him. He's so interesting. She's like, oh yeah, I can't read him. What do you want? That was a whole thing. That's not a thing. Oy. Yep. Yeah.
View from Lookout puts in £1 with no comment, but thank you so much.
Well, I view your Lookout.
Eugene, 1,000 rubles. I have a lot of mixed feelings about this episode. On one hand, it's Loxana episode, which is awesome. On the other hand, the finale is kind of meh, and the conclusion can be changed multiple ways, but it wouldn't matter anyway.
It's quite a crypt. I don't know if I understand that even comment.
Yeah, it was a quick wrap-up one, and actually this is another one that doesn't feel like there's a lot of meat to the bones. And I don't know why, but I have I don't want to watch this one going into it. It wasn't that bad, honestly. But it was just, I don't know. There was just not a lot there really. I can't imagine we're going to talk about it for a full 2 hours. That's kind of, the vibe that I'm getting, but I could be wrong. It's happened before. It's happened once or twice, I think, in my 46 years that I've been wrong. Yeah. I
thought you were going to say 46 years of Trekyards. I'm like, damn, did you go back in time and is this like your fifth version of our 6 years? You just keep reliving it to do it better and better?
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure we get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year.
You really subscribe to the
channel if you haven't already.
Yes! Please do. Guys, come on, 6 more likes. Want to hit that first goal?
Oh yeah, we haven't hit our like goal. Whatever.
Please.
Come on, guys.
6 likes.
Hit it.
And if less people view here, if we get at least $100, that's another 80 over the course of 2 hours. That would be minimum. If you can, put in your thoughts, etc. And come on, 6 likes.
And Life with Matthew is here. Good to see you, Life with Matthew. Good to see you. Not joined at the hip with Anti-Trekker. I'm just kidding.
That's good
to see you, though.
Did you have a nice weekend apart from this? Because we didn't do a live yesterday, did we?
We did not.
Did you have a nice weekend? Let's wait for the 3 more likes.
It was an alright weekend, yeah. Yesterday was Family Day, which I completely forgot about. So we had Valentine's Day, which was a good Valentine's Day, but that's another story. And yesterday, yeah, like I said, it was family day, which we had filming scheduled in the morning, even with a guest. Got that done.
Did some good
and
filming. Let's be fair. That was a good session.
Yeah.
That was a good chunky session.
And the kids were going to come over, and then turned out that Thomas couldn't, and so Cassie came over and visited. It was just kind of like a, but you know, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It's just
at least
COVID.
At least it was your favorite child.
Yes, this is true. But good thing about today is they're starting to ease up on some of the restrictions for lockdown here. So maybe I can get a haircut later this week sometime. We'll see. But yeah.
Yes, I'm.
Yeah, and then the worst part about it was the snow. Started last night. It's even garbage day today, and this heavy snow to shovel, and it's not great. So.
Oh. Yeah. My first concern about lockdowns easing is I can get a haircut so I can get actors in so I can film some Star Trek shorts. That's where my life is right now.
Yeah.
That's my primary concern. But we've got 40, Stuart. So.
Yes.
Near the end of season 4. Well over the halfway now. So give us your actual sort of more, editorial based review of this episode. I'll give you mine.
Well, I really like the actor Timothy. He's from MASH. Charles Emerson Winchester III. Good actor, and enjoyed seeing him kind of. This is a little bit of a departure from what we saw him in MASH, and I used to watch MASH all the time with my dad. So. That's all what I always remember about this episode. And then I kind of forgot that Ro was in it until almost to the end, before she showed up. And I'm like, wait, isn't Ro in? Oh yeah, there she is. But it's not as Ro, obviously, but
or more appropriately, her hair shows up.
That's quite the hair, I gotta say.
But it certainly sets the mood for the character, because boy, there's a commitment to the makeup artist that when she left her planet that morning.
And speaking of hair, I mean, I love the story about the wigs on Beta Z, with the cages in them for small animals. I feel like that's going to pop up in a Lower Decks episode some way. Like either they go back in the past, or they're going to a museum and they're going to see like this wig with a cage in it. I don't know. It's one of those references that feels very Lower Decks-y.
We get a weird time travel plot, and we see young. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. View from lookout, £2. Captain, get the Admiral to give you a haircut. No. That being said, she has pink hair right now because she dyed her hair pink temporarily. Because she did one of the Snapchat filters. Her hair's blonde. Did one of the Snapchat filters and it was pink, and that looks good. So she said, she'd go and do that for Valentine's Day, and yeah, so it's good.
Nice.
Probably last about 9 washes or something. So, right.
And speaking of Lower Decks again for a second, that did leave me wondering, because we were all surprised to see them in Lower Decks, the Kalons. But that isn't. I don't think that's 30 years later, so their son may still kill them all. So I don't know how to feel about them either being dead soon or not dead. But the fact that they're there, at least they got out a bit. But just saying, they are in Lower Decks. There's that one cutaway of them, and they look grumpy because they don't like people, even though they're on a planet in a Klingon bazaar. But okay, I think they have a stall as well.
Yeah, because I was trying to remember what episode they were in of Lower Decks. Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
The second one with General Letdown. But real Klingons.
And a lot of good references in that one.
Very bloody animated series love fest. Crazy.
Anywho.
Continue.
No, this episode's good with the scientific aspect. I love how they got to kind of help, reactivate or reignite or keep their star from basically destroying itself. And they do the experiment, and that was kind of a cool thing, kind of stabilized and then went the other way. I had forgotten about that part. I knew he was on board for some reason, but I couldn't remember what. And that's, it's very Star Trek. I like that. I wish there were more missions like that in Bridge Crew, to be honest. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, there's just not a lot to talk about in this one. Like, yeah, it's a shitty situation, and you can kind of see both sides of the argument for sure. I just think that 60 is an odd age, but we'll talk about that when we get there, I'm sure. I don't know. It's just, and it was a very quick wrap up as well. Like, That being said, it's very realistic. He contacts the government. They're like, we're sending your daughter up. And then it's like that's the moment that he kind of changes his mind because he wants to be alone. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just kind of an episode for me, but it wasn't as let downy as I thought it was going to be going into it. Let's put it that way. So there you go. What do you think, Samuel? Goddamn.
Sometimes I want to be asked. Yeah, this one I'm. So Roxana, I think, is sort of still a gimmick character, but she's getting less caricature-y the more she's in it. Last time she was in it was her best appearance yet, because she wasn't being the same character. This one, she's actually a real character. She's more three-dimensional, which is interesting because it's definitely not what you expect. And she's only in it a certain amount normally, and here she's in, here she's the primary, which is very unusual to give a guest. I mean, 2 guests is the primaries. But obviously, I'm sure Gene has something, so it's nice. They give her a real meaty role. It isn't just for the sake of it. It could be given to anyone. So the fact it was given to Roxana is really interesting because it plays on all of those emotional things, and it honestly makes me sad. Like when you see her later, she's got pink hair and she's the same. Who the hell cares? Weird, you know what I mean? It's like this is real depth. Why does she have to go back to being 2-dimensional again? But that's different writers, different directors, whatever. So that was really fun to see for a character that I think is a gimmick normally. So that was good. But it is a weird one. I mean, all of the cast apart from the guests. You could probably take out Troy because she gets less screen time of all of them. So let's take her out for a second. Everyone else probably put together is like 10 minutes of the 40, because it literally is just Roxana, guest man, and Troy, other Troy, which is very unusual. And you can imagine they probably loved this episode because it was a cast doing normal episode. We'll give these other people another episode. Boy, we can make 2 at the exact same time, and it's all good.
Yeah, and everybody's role felt organic except for Dr. Crusher's. Why are you on the bridge?
Oh, she was in the scene, wasn't she? Yeah, what?
Yeah. And it made no sense. Everybody else fit in.
Like, you blocked it out. What was she doing there?
I don't know. She was standing beside the Tennyson guy.
That's great, yeah.
Picard's like, Doctor, go to your quarters.
Oh, God.
Talking to.
And that was just a weird scene, the way he's just like, I should stay. Don't stay. Okay, goodbye. What?
Yeah, it's like, I want to be in this episode. We don't. Okay, just put her on the bridge. I mean, the Worf things were perfect.
Perfect, yeah.
Even the little Riker moments were great.
Yep.
Data and LaForge were just natural, perfect for what they were doing.
Yep.
It just. But she was just.
Mr. Hom. I mean, come on. He's perfect in his role as cloth holder and.
Spread it, she said. Spread it.
Spread that cloth. Wow. So I agree. It's a very odd one in that it's closer to a Lower Decks episode, or like Star Trek Ambassador, as like that other concept. So it's actually kind of refreshing in that way, and like I say, everyone gets a good role for the moment they get. But the fact that the guest star is so excellent makes it an actor's episode. Simple premise, all relies on these 2 actors, but they both do phenomenal jobs. And considering I only know this actor, this guy, as from Stargate Atlantis, where he plays a villain, a very flat, menacing but flat. He's really, really 3-dimensionally interesting here, and he plays that normal flat guy throughout. And then when he breaks off that, it's really rewarding to see like something grabs this guy's heart. It's very, very powerful. So it's definitely an actor's episode. Although considering the grand scope of the death of what it would lead to, it's odd to see Picard be as step-backy. His involvement varies drastically depending on what the scene calls for. This felt more like a professional Picard, which should be how he normally responds, but obviously if he's the primary actor in the episode, he will suddenly go against it more. So it's odd to see how he fluctuates so heavily, depending on if he's a major or not. Because you could quite happily argue that if the planet blows up because this guy died, that's on your conscience, Picard. But then again, your conscience is clean because you followed the rules, Picard. So it's but yeah, it's definitely an actor's episode, and like I said, it's a TOS episode without Kirk and Spock. It's extremely TOS, extremely theme focused, and I think this one holds up better in terms of modern content because this is a well shot, well directed episode that has good acting, no real big special effects, and good writing. Doesn't stand out as being extraordinary sci-fi, but as a piece of this of like dramatic, you know, telling this issue content, it should be up there with TOS. Just doesn't have that spark. Like, you needed more Troy, both Troys probably, to kind of give that Bones and or Spock and Kirk dynamic. You know, probably would have helped have a little bit of extra. Or maybe Data come in, or the Data's always overused, maybe to try and like find some loophole in the rules, etc. Kind of like with Ardra, Data and Picard are kind of, that's their duo, and they're kind of, that probably would have helped it. But then what would you have removed? You know, really hard-hitting scenes of them being acting. It's kind of like, it needed to be longer to have that stuff, or remove the science stuff, but you need that stuff. So it's kind of it's a really hard one to balance. Considering it's about an issue, they gave it the full issue.
Yeah. Well, there'll be a few things to talk about, I guess. I didn't think there'd be too much, really, but we'll get into it. Xeron the Gamer, that's just a rumor, and considering the site that, had stated it, I wouldn't put much stock into it.
Yes, we hear more rumors than real things happening for a reason, because rumors are cheap, facts are hard to get. I think we could easily both report on a rumor and actually a lot of people believe us, and then we suddenly see bigger news sources saying it. But we don't do that because we're not like that. Not that's not a good idea, but
yeah.
But this episode starts with a tremendous, one of the best Picard scenes of the last couple of years, where you absolutely buy it. And another Patrick is being different, and you buy it 100%. Brilliant.
The best thing about the episode, I think, is how it starts with the Counselor Deanna Troy's personal log. She gives the star date, and all she says, "My mother is on board," which leads into the Picard scene, which is great. But yeah, she finds him right away as soon as he comes out of the turbo lift.
I mean, definitely stalking him.
And you were just thinking of me. Yeah, because I was wanting to avoid you, but
yeah, it's amazing because surely she knows that he was thinking, "Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God," but I guess she blocks out the negative because she's such a positive person. But he's not hiding the fact he's like, "Oh God, Jesus Christ." But yeah, no, I love his acting is absolutely perfect, and what a great way to start an episode. The captain, and he doesn't want to get out of the damn elevator because he's that damn nervous. That's a great, the Borg he will fight and get angry with, but this woman, I will hide in my quarters until she leaves. I ain't dealing with. But she's lovely. Yeah, she's nice. She's lovely this week. Although, boy, why can't he just demand she not be in there? Like, she has no authority, no reason to be there. I know you can't actually order her, but I would probably order security on her, I'll be honest, because this is a really difficult situation, and she has zero rationale for being in here. I would exert authority and make her not be here. I would even be tempted to beam her out. It's like do a side to side, I'll be honest.
Wow.
Well, come on, it's a very tricky situation. She has no right to be there. It's like, oh, come on. Jesus Christ.
Yes. The fact that he's like, this is a kind of a tricky first or whatever because of the the reclusive. Diplomacy! I love diplomacy. People dress so nice, and it's like, yeah, why? But yeah, it just I would be hesitant to have her in there. So yeah,
but it's an excellent start though. It's an excellent start to an episode.
Yeah.
And they both play it so like freeform and yeah.
And the whole shaking hands thing was nice. Difference in culture, which you don't. It's just a subtle little thing, but it would happen all the time. So I like that.
Although I saw a quote by a director recently that said, when we filmed it, it felt unnatural. On screen, it looks perfect. He's way too close to him, and his hand is like this, like a limp little. That's not like a handshake. If you're like, But in reality, you'd have a nice big broad but then they'd be too far away from each other to make the scene work. So it feels really unnatural, but the framing, just something I noted. Yeah. And
then she asked him out for what are you doing for food? I don't know, Cap. What? We got things to do. It's important. I just love it. But she's already like going to be a problem because she's already attached to his arm. It's like, ugh.
Now, I guess this is an example of female empowerment because she's in it to get it, and that's it. That's that's her only motivation here. She's old enough. She's been around the block enough. She just thinks, he's hot. I want him. It'll be fun. So it's kind of weird, literally, to have just the motivation be, I want to do him. You know what I mean? She knows nothing about him, anything about him. It's purely physical. Like, it's weird to have that be the lead scene. There's nothing else there to start that off. But yeah, and because I guess.
Yeah, just from the whole opening, like, it seems like it's going to be a more lighthearted episode. But it gets pretty impactful near the end there. So.
Which is good. It sets you up, and this is why it's weird. It's a Roxana episode. That's not what you associate. That's why it's more powerful. You have the contrasts, and her, her at the start in this boisterous outfit, her at the end in almost a morning outfit. Well, it is morning, just more colourful morning. That's where I'm sure Majel was thrilled with this episode. I'm sure it's probably one of her favourite ones, if not her favourite one, for just like real acting quality content. Might not be as fun. She might not be in a mud bath naked, but is fun another way.
Then we get the whole talk about revitalizing the star, him modifying the photon torpedoes with his new technique, and basically they're going to try to save his planet. They found another star. They apologize that it's been 3 years since they got contacted to be able to find a star that's in the same state as their home star. So we don't, no indication how far away it is or anything, but neither here nor there. I just love that it takes 3 years logistically for them to get the request for help and then to find practically where they can go to test this stuff. So like he would have been 57 or 56 because he's turning 60, right? Like 3 years waiting for this, and it's just kind of at that line, right?
And you got to think, I'm sure there was discussions on the planet saying, I mean, should we let him go? What if something goes wrong and he comes back and he's 60 in 1 day? Like, they seem so rigid, that would be an affront to their culture. So I'm sure there's a certain level of, it's the scientist who's able to calculate the likelihood of him coming back and give them all the stats and say, yes, I can guarantee I'll be back with 3 days to spare. You know what I mean? I don't think of that going in, but he must have made an assurance that I will come back.
Yeah.
And that must have honestly been also... Well, no, but actually, yeah, I was going to mention a second ago. The fact they found a star that close, warp 5, couple of days, no problem, is very, very lucky, first of all. But that was probably intentional. They probably said it can only be this many light years because, well, we're not going to say why. The reason is they need to go back and commit suicide.
Just when you say go back and commit suicide, it just sounds a little bit... Yeah.
Well, that's one way
I know what you mean, but... I know. We also find out here that he spent 40 years of his life working on this. So he started when he was 20. That's...
Which is his life.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah. Definitely, well, I mean, the whole episode is bittersweet, the episode. But save their entire planet, and as we learn later on, their entire society. There is no other of them off the planet. If gone, is gone, and you can imagine, especially as he's been working off the research from other people over the history, it's like so much responsibility, and he plays it with a certain confidence here, which is nice, but at the same time, it's very like,
Yeah. And we get this scene on the bridge where she's like, "Oh, Mr. Wolf, what's this do?" "Please, madam, that is a torpedo launch initiator, and the name is Worf, not Woof." She's great. Like, "I don't care. Look. There you are, my dear." And Deanna thinks it's her. Riker thinks maybe it might be him. No, she goes right between them both, and I love that scene. And Deanna's like, "You were waiting for me?" "Oh, yeah, whatever. Yep." So, I don't know. I thought it was good.
I mean, one of the more perfect 1 minute 10 of TNG, to be honest. Like, everyone has something to do. It's so organic. I love the guy's acting. He's just like, wow, I've been single for a long time now, and this alien, I can get some alien... Okay. I'm not doing anything here, and yet she's attracted to me. What a world. Is this what happens to all Federation starships? We get women instantly? I guess so.
Yes.
Wow.
Part of the perks of, going on to do scientific, getting a liaison that,
And yeah, I'm
just
sure,
saying.
And I'm sure Dawn loved the torpedo gag, because that's just a great, simple... And the fact that she's even on the bridge, especially after, last week where they Like we had a recent episode where they forced him off the bridge. It didn't make sense. Like it was authorized only. It's like, how do you keep getting on the bridge? You're not allowed here.
Yeah.
Stop going.
Yeah, I love how Riker's like, I'll have to ask you to clear the bridge. I don't see why. There are lots of other people here. It's like that's their job.
Yeah.
But,
Yep. But it's the sincerity she says it. It's like, yes, but I'm better than everyone here, and they're here anyway.
yeah.
Like, I have the chalice. You want to bring the chalice? I'll bring the chalice. Do you have a chalice? No. No?
And the rings. And the rings.
I'll wear the rings, put the chalice, I'll make you drink out of the other thing. No, it's great. Good stuff.
And even the look on Troy's face goes from a smile to kind of concern when he says to her, you know, I didn't think she was your mother because she's so vibrant.
Yes. But Deanna's like, another man.
Yep.
I've had 44 fathers this month.
Oh. I'm not gonna say my mom's a slut, but
she's got a library card. She says slut. But it's an acronym though, you know. Solitary librarian at Talos.
It wouldn't be at because it's you.
Slat. Oh, she's a slat.
Ah.
Anyway, then we have science MacGuffin.
Oh yeah, I love all the pads on the pool table, as it's called.
And I have no problem with the idea you need more than one pad. Because yes, in theory, you need one device and it has everything. But what if you want to look at two things at the same time? Or three? What if you have one dedicated to something else? Like, I have no problem with this. You know, people like multiple books, not just one Kindle. Some people like one Kindle, but, you know.
The only time I have an issue with it was in, like, I think it's Insurrection, where there's, like,
First Contact,
shit tons all over Picard's desk. Like, at that point, you got your little laptop thing, you got your iPad, you might have your phone. You know, why do you need 15 anyway? That's neither here nor there. I guess that's all the department heads bringing them their reports and stuff.
Like, each one's going to be separate because,
you can just be sent. Send to the captain. And just, oh, it's on my pad. So you got a list of 15 things instead of 15 pads.
But I think though it keeps you more settled in your brain. You don't get like distracted. Like I'm dealing with this pad, this division. Move on, you know, rather than 15 tabs. You know.
Yeah,
I think true. You can argue both. It depends on the person, really. But it's a nice like little visual to show busy, even though in this mega future. Also, did you notice that they're traveling at high warp and the warp core's going vum, 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 vum. Like, to the point they're not even doing the sound effect anymore because it's too fast. They have no sound effect but that fast. It's too fast for the effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear they're stating that when they do the experiment, they have to degrees any more than that, and it'll be a problem. And then she comes in with the whole, you know, basically we're going to have a picnic, and she clears off all the stuff off the table. And, yeah, Mr. Holm, he doesn't talk much.
He's just happy to have a job.
LaForge is like, how can he? And then the spread it, and just didn't sound right to me.
And this is definitely one of those things where A, she shouldn't be engineering anyway. She shouldn't be allowed. B, she shouldn't be allowed to throw stuff off and C, she shouldn't be able to eat. Like, Data, at least Data would tell her off, you'd think, because of technicality. But Geordi is the head of engineering. This is think about all the lower engineers that are around looking and seeing him be totally walked over. You know what I mean? Like, it felt unbelievable that he's that cavalier. Like, I was expecting them to bring a table and then like flips open and then like some sci-fi thing appears. Like, to put it on the table is dumb. But, like, if they're bringing their own table with chairs, like you know, maybe just around the corner of the warp core, she's like, excellent, Mr. Hom. He walks off, comes up with 5 chairs, and then now like cuts them 4 minutes later and they're all having tea and it's just like, and some engineers trying to go around them. Like that I think would be much funnier and more realistic. So this bugged me a little bit for its silliness. Like, one of them would tell them off. You know, if Geordi can get pissy at Scotty, the bloody legend that designed so many warp engine things, and he's not getting pissy at Troy's mum, you know what I mean? Legend versus annoyance. Ambassador, but without any real reality to be there.
Yeah. Then we get them going into the turbo lift, and there's a really nice crewman there. I don't know. It was just a nice. Anyway, neither here nor there. Anyway, she finds out here that she's got a daughter. She's like, "Oh, you're married." You know, she died. My wife died years ago. Oh, okay. It's like, well, she's going to be respectful. I like that though. They at least establish that, you know.
Yeah, it's a very unusual moment for her because she doesn't say anything. She just grabs his arm in a you know, nice but mildly neutral way, as I'm supporting, you're supporting me. I'm not going to go any further. It's very unusual for her to be that respectful, like in the right way. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, good scene for you. That's weird for you. Nice job. Yeah.
Then she's like, "Why didn't you guys just evacuate the planet?" He's like, "Well, everything we are is the planet." "Oh, well, in that case, you better take care of it and fix it." It's like, okay, great.
Well, she's making small talk, isn't she?
Yeah. When she asked him in for a nightcap, and yeah, she kind of politely says no, which is kind of a cute little scene, I guess.
I was hoping he was going to say, "Sorry, what's a nightcap?" And she's like, "Well." So it's one of those things where interesting that goes the language barrier in Beta Zedian into whatever this Kalon. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Although I'm wondering why he's saying no specifically, because you see such an evolution, but I didn't necessarily get why the distinct click no to it in this moment. Might just be respect to your dead wife. Like, is it either that or is it because I know I'm going to die? Why bother? But it's like if you're going to die, why not bother? Like I didn't quite know why. I was waiting for a specific reason to call out. Wasn't quite sure why. I was assuming just yeah.
It's a very good question, and it could be that yeah, I'm going to be dead in a few days. So, meh. No, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to. Yeah, I don't know. I
would like to think it was him being a gentleman, but that's not how the acting comes across. Like they almost catch that beat, but he's quite a stoic actor that he didn't quite. If that was the intention, or maybe if he'd said good morning or I'll see you for breakfast instead, or something else. So
or just say I promised I'd talk to my daughter.
I'll ask permission to get laid for my daughter.
Well, no, I mean it's a couple days before the ritual thing. Like you're going to want to talk to your family as much as you can before that.
Yeah.
So just something like that would have been a good reason for him to say no.
Or if later on they'd had a conversation and say, why didn't you have so little time left, why didn't you take my invitation? He says, I didn't want to form a new connection because new connections can be all the more painful. But then I couldn't help myself the next time I saw you. I think that would have made sense too. Because, why create a wound that he knows is going to be a horrible wound in a couple of days. Yeah. Yeah, it's just interesting. But again, great acting, very lovely, very good nuance from both of them, actually.
Well, then they make it to the Praxilus system where they're going to conduct the helium ignition test. And then we get her trying on dresses.
And do you think this is kind of like Genesis, where they had to be mega ultra super? Yes, Genesis. Can you not hear with ears and that goatee like that?
Yeah. How can you be deaf with ears like that? Anytime anyone says Genesis, I want to say Genesis. Sorry.
It's very accurate, and that deserves a super chat, guys, for that instant reaction. But no, do you imagine Genesis?
Genesis. Sorry.
Was such a I'm sure they learned a lesson with that, but they're potentially blowing up a sun, which, as we know from Generations, will affect all the gravitational factors in the nearby sectors.
Well, they're not blowing it up. They're trying to reignite it.
No, I know, but they have the chance to blow it up. However they rationalize it, they may still blow it up.
That's probably why it took 3 years to find one that's in the perfect state.
That's what I mean.
As well as nothing in the system that could be affected. Yeah.
Because that must be even just a risk of anything. We're not going out because the risk of death is so low, and that's, and this is going to affect how many star systems, etc. So I imagine they must have picked one that's literally middle of nowhere.
Yeah, because even when Reliant was looking for places to do the Genesis experiment, there could be no indication of life.
Yeah.
They needed to make sure that there was no chance of anything evolving. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Eugene, 250 rubles. Wait, Kalon. So these are the species Isaac and the other droids had wiped out. Ooh.
I think they were Kalon. I think they had a second
Isaac
race.
is Kalon.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
killed the other race that lived on the planet. Oh no. Oh no, I get, I guess they were Kalon, but so are the robots. Because the robots are made by the people, and then the robots killed the people, the robots took over. But they still call themselves Kalon.
Yeah.
I think. It's been a while since Orville, guys.
Confused me.
Because they find the caves of dead bodies. But yes, Kalon's fall.
But they're talking about selecting a dress, and how you might want to consider dressing up every once in a while, Deanna, and maybe even having sex.
Well, once in a while.
And she's, yeah, because she asked, "You think he'd like screen?" Well, that's not very telepathic of you, Mother. Well, I can't read him. I try.
And as I said earlier, that's very strange they completely pass over that. Maybe she's learning to deal with more aliens now, but you get the sense she's been around the block 5 to 6 times. Not in a sex way, just around the galaxy, and so she's probably dealt with a lot. So, but again, you talk about canon where it wasn't important except to make the point. It just feels odd they don't even for a second talk about it. Not even for a second. Like I wish he'd said that's why as soon as he beamed in, he was intriguing to me because I was being fresh. Like I had to be completely myself with him. Like simple things like that. But it would, I'm sure it's the inference, but it would have been nice to have that.
Jordan Reed throws in £5.
Thank you.
If they had the hand of Omega, they could solve this easily.
It's Doctor Who reference, I think.
Gotcha. All right, so we're up on the bridge, and they are starting the experiment, and they launch a bunch of torpedoes
with a very bright Enterprise.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Well, the near sun, right?
Oh no, it makes sense. It doesn't look very good, unfortunately. It looks like a toy. But that's, that's what you get. But it's definitely cool to see that sort of pew pew. Although, boy, if those torpedoes can successfully go into a sun, the hell are they made of? Because that's...
Well, they make a point of saying the shielding is holding, like it's his enhanced shields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they can do that, that's a big deal. Because, boy, that's a big deal. Just saying, like, they sort of throw it off a little bit, I kind of got the sense maybe this guy's speciality is also, like, he had to design special shielding to the suns. I wish they'd said that. Again, there's little things I wish they added, more sciencey stuff.
They did. They mentioned it in the briefing room at the beginning about your enhanced shielding on the photon torpedoes. Okay. And they mentioned the shielding here as well. The shielding is holding.
Just missed the first one then.
Yeah, before they ignite. And so then it ignites, you see the sun flare from an orange to a yellow. And then they monitor all of the pressures and everything. Everything's going good. And a really nice display of the engineering console. Love that. So we want to stabilize at 22 million. And then you see it go up to 22 and it holds. And then he kind of breathes a sigh of relief, like, I saved my planet. And then, nope, it continued to climb after that. So, not good. And then the Riker's like, do you want to get us out of here? Yeah, let's warp 2, guys. And again, that's very much a bridge crew mission, because there's quite a few missions where the sun's going to explode.
Oh, right.
You rescue survivors and stuff, and then the sun explodes, and you've got a certain amount of time before the shockwave hits you before you can warp out. So that was kind of fun to see that. I liked that. But yeah, this was a nice little experiment, and to see the sun flare up, that was kind of cool. Go from the orange, more dense sun to a yellow one, which would be more
probably a little bit too subtle an effect, like
for the
but it's hard to represent without going to the extremes. So I can't really complain. Just wasn't the best. Like a little bit unclear potentially. I will say I'm amazed how much tension they generated from 22 million degrees, 28 million degrees. Like all they're doing is a very, very cheap scene in terms of like what they're actually doing, but it's surprisingly tension filled. So I give them a lot of credit for that. It's all in directing and pacing. And then definitely the warp out moment's quite effective, because it's like we really effed up. Because destroying a sun is a big deal, really big deal. And it does kind of.
But it was all in the paperwork that if they can't be held responsible if the sun blows up.
Yeah.
Sign here, sign here, sign here.
Oh no, their insurance covers it. It's fine.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sun destruction. Although you imagine that if it's this easy, like what Soren did feels a little bit less special, you know. But I'm sure it's specific to this type of dying star. Like, this is a special star. But it is, I mean, destroying any sun is like an absurdly powerful weapon. I'm surprised they don't use very much in Trek as a concept, because, you know, you could, I mean, how many times have they, like, been around a sun and you can't detect them because of radiation? Just blow up the sun, leave, and now it kills everyone on the planet they try and destroy. Like, amazing.
It's the radiation. Anyway, yeah, so basically he says, thank you for helping me, but since we've failed, and Picard's like, warp 5, let's get him back home. Then we cut to 10 forward.
They can't be bothered to even go cruising speed. Sub-cruising speed. They're in no hurry at all.
Yeah.
But the guy's acting, though, of the thank you for all you've done is great. You really, for this guy shows so much depth. Like I said, this is not an act I've known to be very emotive, really. You buy it so much. Because once you know later on, obviously, he's saying, this was my only chance. Not only have I failed, I will never know if my planet lives. So as far as I'm concerned, my planet's dead now. And I can hope, and actually that's even deeper, actually, if you think about it. You know, as far as I know, they're probably going to die or not. I'll hope they did, but I'll never know. And that's it. Wow.
Not my problem. That's what I'd be saying.
But 40 years of your life, that's all your entire life. That has been your life. So it almost feels like a life wasted. 40
years of Trekyards. We still haven't hit 100,000 subscribers. I'm going to die in 3 days. We're like at 89,000. Our big push failed. We only got 92,000.
And then we blow up a star just to make a bag.
And I'm like, we'll never hit it, and I'll never know if we hit it. Oh my god.
So we have 8 minutes before the sun hits us to get like spike, because otherwise the planet will be destroyed.
Speaking of a like spike, might as well.
Yes.
75. Can we do 9 more likes to get up to 75? Only 72 people watching, but that's okay.
I should be able to. I feel like.
Yeah. Hit the like button if you haven't, guys, and make sure you're subscribed.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that I want to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year.
I know.
Will it happen? Probably not, but we're gonna try.
We do a lot of content, and guys, we know there's $70. Sorry to say, we're doing another $70 minimum. So if you can put a couple of 5s in, that'd be great. Put your thoughts and questions as we go through this episode.
So then she says, "Yeah, there's some young dude, an astronomer, who named a star after me once. You know, I used to sparkle back then. Come on, that's fishing for a compliment. Tell me I still like. I'm not good company. Yeah, no shit.
But it's, and again, I think she's somewhat obnoxious and, like I say, a gimmick. Yes. But you understand everything she's doing here, and it comes from a really genuine place, and that's why it's different. In this scene, which I quite like. I think you do expect him to say "leave me," but the scene continues. Just stay here and kind of stay here and be quiet is the inference.
And the whole, you know, I wish you would have met you years ago. She's like, what does a couple of years matter?
Everything.
A lot in this situation. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, because he went from like top of his life of career, being the hero that saved his entire world, right at the last minute, to the failed, not hero that let his planet down.
And it's all because of Federation politics and having to find a star that was suitable. It took 3 goddamn years.
But if they'd asked for help earlier, because they say specifically it took a while for us to ask for help. So there's also on them. Yes. They probably had hundreds of years, or at least a couple of years.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think about his planet? Because I thought it looked a bit less the sort of planet CG, mostly in the edge of it as it rotates, like the way it I don't know if you noticed that, just the way it kind of composites in looked dodgy to me, like a low end.
Didn't think about it.
Yeah, I just think the rim, as if it's a bigger planet, they're like cutting into it and making it rotate by not. It looked weird to me. And they're normally quite good with them.
Yeah. So then they're talking to the science minister, saying how it failed, but you know we have all the telemetry from the probes. And
we're
we
happy
should be able to
try
isolate.
Again.
Yeah. Another test might be successful. he's like, yeah, that's great, but he's got responsibilities here, so get him back down here, and we'll talk about that later.
And I like,
We'll select a replacement.
yeah, and it's a very odd scene, obviously on purpose, but he almost gets away with it sounding kind of like, yeah, he's got other things he's got to do, but there's something about his tone, the finality of his tone. They're like,
Yeah, and even Picard's like,
yeah,
we're willing to extend our stay. Like, it's not an inconvenience. He's like, no, it's fine.
yeah, it's just a little bit off, but not a lot. And don't you like their no expense spared backdrop, by the way? No expense, really high-ranking official with all that set dressing.
He's a science minister, so it looks like a laboratory. It's fine.
I know, it's just a bit like, yeah.
You would think that Timothy would have a assistant.
Yes.
A prodigy.
Oh my God!
That's been working with him to pass on all of his knowledge and notes to. Because it doesn't make sense to because later when he's trying to transmit what could be the answer, they're like, oh, they've locked me out, like they're not going to accept any information from me. It would have been, how many scientists have we seen come on board the Enterprise that they have an assistant, they have somebody that is under them that is trying to assist them? That would have made a lot of sense here. But
that blew my mind. That would have been such a strong addition, especially as you could have had them potentially agree with him but kind of be on the fence, saying, well, I know the value, like, see from the other perspective of what if the person's like a 21-year-old who has the entire life in front of them and says... It would
have been better if he actually turned 60 because they didn't get back on time. So he had his birthday, essentially. Ooh. Came up with the solution after he turned 60, but the guy wouldn't wouldn't listen to the answer, even though it was
does this and turns.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything you say is dead to me.
Yeah. Ooh, that's... That would have been even darker, man. That's good. That's a good bit of... And I think, because you didn't... Because when we get to it, I find the shootout, the space battle, the non-space battle dumb as all hell. We'll get to that in a minute. But that, I think, would have been a much stronger way of doing that. And, I mean, you could even have had it be the daughter going in. Kind of like father like daughter, science as well. If we're already going to have the character, And then you see a transition from proud daughter to I'm ashamed of you.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly. And also just briefly, because UK man here, hey, where is it? Rose says, hi, good afternoon to you, good evening from me in the UK. Happy Pancake Day! Yes, it's Shrove Tuesday, Pancake Day. Has everyone had pancakes today? You had pancakes yet?
I have not. No.
Oh. Well, I'm going to make some after this because I was told to. So you should make some too, I'm telling you.
Well, we have pancake mix, and we do have sausages. It's pancakes and sausages do sound yummy.
I'm going to make strawberry and then lemon, sort of the classic ones. But I'm going to make a bacon pancake for lunch tomorrow. I've got pancake mix. I'm going to make fresh pancakes tomorrow and have some bacon for... If you do filming, I'm going to have like a breakfast pancake. So everyone, in all parts of the world, even if you're not in the UK, it's still your pancake day too. I'm sharing that love to you. So have a pancake today. And not an American pancake, a real pancake. Because we invented them, probably. Because we're older than you. By a lot. By a lot. Our houses are older than your bloody... everything. Sorry. Hi.
You guys should have committed suicide long ago. You're too old. The world's taking care of you now. Yes. You've outlived your usefulness.
Then you would edit Trekyards.
Do you know that these people that you're helping are murderers? What? I beg your pardon? Yeah. So she tells them that once they're 60, they're expected to kill themselves. And did you know that? And Data's like, we don't know much about these people. They're isolationists, they're xenophobes, so we don't know much about their customs. But yeah, they talk about he'll be wined and dined and then have a ritualistic, suicide. It's called the Resolution. And Picard's like, yeah, and not much I can do about it. I don't think you're listening to me. The man is supposed to kill himself. Yeah, but we can't really do much about it. Prime directive. I don't have any jurisdiction here. I can't interfere. It's the prime directive. She goes, it's your prime directive, not mine. So
it's a whirlwind of emotion, and I appreciate that Loxana is normally a very selfish being, and there is a element of that here, but it feels much more genuine for her.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually about somebody else now, which is refreshing. But it is very much like a whirlwind or hurricane hitting a wall that will not bend, and it's odd to see Picard be that stoic. Like in this context of we want the right thing to happen, he's like,
yeah.
but it's what would happen. But it's interesting.
And she storms out, and I love how the scene ends. Computer, locate Counselor Troy. Mm-hmm. There's like a long pause. Usually the computer's kind of. Anyway, it was just kind of an odd closeout for the scene, but it leads in the next one. So
well, he's like, I've got to deal with this woman. Because boy, she has to be dealt with. Mm. And then we get O'Brien's big, awkward.
Well, not a banned account, though. Throws in $5.
Dang it.
Captain Foley, off topic. But how can I tell if one of my officers is just having a bad day or is possessed by an alien? Asking for a fellow captain. Well, generally, when they're possessed by an alien, they have a very reverberated, deep voice. Kind of sounds like there's two people talking. You know, things might move around in the room randomly. I don't know. It depends on the situation. It's a very fine line. How many times is a headache just a headache in Star Trek? Usually it's not just a headache. Anyway.
Right, yeah. Sure.
But yeah, she wants to be beamed down, make it happen. And Troy's like, no. I love how before he leaves, he's like, and locks the transporter controls. Nice little touch.
Very modern day. Even back then, we've never seen that before. We're probably never going to see it again, but it's kind of fun. You can do that. And it's interesting that
well, how many times do we hear that the so-and-so broke into the transporter room and overrode the controls? So you overrode the controls and, remove the lockout. So,
but it's odd that the logic, and it's an interesting. She says, "Am I a prisoner here?" Troy says, "Well, you can't leave," and she says, "Well, I'm not subject to the orders." No, but he is, which is then says, "Well, if he's ordered not to transport you, but you have your own free will." Like so she is at the mercy of, even though she has no obligation to be, she has no. It's interesting. Like his orders trump anything she wants. Does that mean that then, and then he locks it? You could argue that then, well, she could beam herself down because then, but otherwise Picard's ordering her, but she's a civilian. Now I'm all for what he did, but it's an interesting like stable of future affairs. It's like the captain can override a civilian if he feels like it, and she has no right to her own. Like my order against you countermands anything you might want, even though I have no authority over you. Just the way it's played, it feels a little bit like, oh, you are a prisoner, full-on prisoner.
Well,
just the way it was played is a little bit odd. In an interesting way, though. You don't often see that because it's true. Like if she wants to be off the ship, I mean,
Yeah. Well, she's crying. She says she doesn't cry. Well, you cried when father passed away. Oh, you remember that? Yes. It's okay. You're just feeling vulnerable. She's like, is it a good thing, though? Is it a good thing that I'm crying? Nice little touching scene with these two. And the last shot where you see the console and everything. That's a nice little closing shot.
Weird one, for sure. Weird one. Well, I will say that this is probably her least good acting scene. She can't fake cry convincingly. So like, it's like, no, I know she's a melodramatic woman, so it fits in character, but it feels the least natural thing she's done on an episode. She's not a good fake actor crier. But as we've said in the last couple of episodes, when Troy's given something, she's good in it. It's annoying she's not given very much because she's good here. Like she sells everything she does. I wish she was given more.
Yeah.
Oh, then we get a very long
That's a good
scene.
point, actually. That's a good point, actually.
Oh, that's the scene. Yeah, the scene. Sorry.
Yeah, anyway, she goes to visit Temison, who's still worried about the test results. Like, he doesn't want to talk about this, really. He wants to focus on his research, get that sorted, because he has to. And she basically gives him a hug. And, says, "I'm sorry, I'm a hateful woman. I hate what you're going to do. I hate you for doing it," and tries to basically talk him out of it, and they end up giving a kiss.
Well, this is the first half. This is the one where there's still a wall between them because they haven't done the thing yet. So she's being a supportive friend, potential more, and he's not expecting what's going to happen. But when they have sex and they've now let themselves in, literally and figuratively, then then it just comes out flowing. And that's a big heated argument, which is a very, very good argument for sure. But it's interesting to see how this is so like, oh, I don't like what you're doing, but you can do what you want in like 35 minutes or less if he's quick. I hate everything. I hate everything you're doing. Like, it's interesting there's two parallels next to each other, but she can only go so far.
Well, the thing that interests me is he's still on the ship when they're in orbit of the planet.
Yes.
And it's probably overnight, you would think, because she's sitting up watching him like he slept for a while. Like,
yeah.
I mean, he might be using every last little day that he has to kind of come up with a solution because he's got all the resources of the engineering team and stuff. Maybe that's why, but this felt a little weird. So.
Yeah, I noticed that too, especially as the minister guy says, as soon as possible. Well, yes. that could be now. So why is it not possible? And if he's allowed all 4 days, why are you bitching at him not coming back for 4 days? Because presumably there's some rituals he needs to do beforehand. So yeah, I was confused by that as well. They have an urgency, they lose it all of a sudden. So yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Although it could just be 2 or 3 hours have passed. Who knows really? But Stuart, are we going to get into a debate if they actually had sex or not? Or is this a slam dunk?
No, they definitely did.
Okay, good.
Definitely did.
Good.
The scene transition was good. So, yep.
And boy, this is a very big conversation. Boy.
Yeah, that's where we find out that 15 to 20 centuries ago they had no resolution, but people got old, they had to be taken care of. They were basically put in death wait facilities where they just waited maybe years to die. Nursing homes, like
retirement homes without the nice name.
Yeah. So their families were burdened. They had to take care of them, and so it came about that they wanted to, end your life when you're vital, when you're still, like kind of at your peak. And the age 60 was picked, and yeah, I mean it's kind of an interesting idea, but at the same time, 60 is a odd number. I don't know.
What do you think about his argument specifically? Or their argument specifically?
Well, I get it, but she makes a good point too. Like, some people could be deathly ill at 50 and have to wait 10 years.
That was a really good
do this ritual.
That was
and other people are like you. Other people like you are, healthy, vital, intelligent. They still have all their faculties. They're being a contributing member of society. Like, it doesn't make sense. It should be, I don't say a case-by-case basis, but then it's
just murder.
They wanted it to be fair. They wanted it to be fair, and that's why they did it. So, like, that argument's there too. So.
Yeah, I was surprised by the three-dimensionality of the argument, because we're clearly meant to feel for one side, but he's not presented as an unreasoning chap. I was kind of impressed by the amount of let's not say good argument, rational argument. You can have a rational argument that's not good, So I found that. Now I do wish though that we were given some sense of context, because that would change everything. If he'd said to us, our typical lifespan is only 80 years, and we deteriorate heavily in the last 10. But if they can live to 160 potentially, and they only get humans have a huge range of life. There are people who live up to 90 and still functioning. But if their lifespan is only 80 years, then 60 is a different number, as if their lifespan could be 200.
I got the feeling that with the way he is at that age, that they could probably live to 120, so they picked like the halfway mark. You know what I mean?
Ooh. Yeah.
I don't know why 120 popped into my head, but it seems like in Star Trek, 120 is kind of like the average for at least humans anyway.
Well, because if he's going to be 60 and assuming he doesn't dye his beard, he owns that starting to get grey, and people go grey before they're 60 in humans. Yeah. A long time before. So that does imply, I like that actually, halfway, especially if you think of it as the handing off to the next generation, then it's a very literal handing off. But I wish they'd said, people deteriorate exponentially quicker. So every year after 70, say, or 60, you get worse. But when you haven't got that context, when she says, yeah, some people were worse earlier, some people were, that kind of hurt the argument a little bit. Because if, like I say, if they've got 80 years left, who the hell cares? So it's definitely an interesting argument. And yeah, certainly care homes, I mean, you know, I'm not looking forward to getting old. Hopefully we've got more tech then, I can do more stuff in my life, because as people say, you know, you start as an infant who has to be helped with everything, has to be fed with baby, you know, mush, and can't go to the toilet themselves. Then become an adult, and then you get old, can't feed yourself, have a diaper. Like, you have that cycle, and some people wouldn't want to get there because it's not a good way of going. But at that point, sort of staying in there for your family to see you and hang out with you, and you know, like, it's not a fun way of being. But that's why you have the 60 years, 70 years of really good life and 40 years of really strong life. You make the most of the good years. That's, you know, the price you pay for having more life is you have the best life, and then you have the less. But you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you get to that point where you're that deteriorated, then you've lived a very full life.
Yes.
And it might not be anything, you know, genetic, or it might not be anything, you know, illness-wise that's making you be like that. It's just old age, essentially. Which, yeah, when do you draw the line? Like, so I love how they kind of put their line in the sand, 60, so nobody had to make that decision. I kind of get the argument, but at the same time, it's like, look at this guy. Like, honestly, there should be like an appeal process. Like, look at my health, look at my medical checkup. Like, I'm perfect health, you know.
And you can easily argue this guy's been working his butt off for a long time. He's probably more tired than most people, and he looks fine. It would have probably helped if he looked older or felt older. So it does definitely feel like they're killing their people in middle age. Obviously, you know, in slight comparison. So when they had the first Doctor, William Hartnell, when he was playing the Doctor, he looked like an old man. He was hired to be a granddad. He looks old. When Peter Capaldi took the role, he was older than William Hartnell, and was playing a much younger looking guy, because that's just how medical tech has evolved. And so looking and being old has radically changed. So it's you know, it's a hard thing to kind of
Fleet Paw Swiftback, $2. I made it. This is a really good episode. Hit like. Good to see you, Fleet Paw.
Good to see you. Where I think
she makes. I was just gonna say she makes oscoids, a betazoid delicacy. He's like, what are those? Oh, they're really good. But you know, no sense trying them now that you're dead.
That is a beautiful scathing. I love that. Such a smart bitch remark, but it's so poignant.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why bother? Why bother? Yeah. Why? Don't bother. You're not going to remember in 3 days, are you? You're going to be dead. Although I appreciate they didn't give at any point to an afterlife situation, because this has been a religious episode with the afterlife concept. That would have changed the entire discussion massively.
It could have been carried over to that episode of Voyager where they get
the next emanation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like, that could have been a thing incorporated. But I think that would have changed the focus of the episode from taking care of the elderly to religion. And I like that they separated them, actually. So I see what you're saying, but at the same time, social commentary.
This is relatable to everybody. The religion isn't, you know, that aspect. You can't say, no. This is absolutely relatable. Now, my biggest problem with the concept, and they obviously go into it they multiple times, is that he might be the savior of their entire species. He gets a pass. End of story.
But then he says, you know, that's not fair to ask individual families to decide when their elders are going to die. That would be heartless. But yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. That's why I think he should have had a prodigy, or he should have somebody,
that'd been good,
assistant with him that he'd been training for the last 20 years. That is now 40. You know, still has another 20 years that could pass on the information to.
Although, if you know you're only going to live 60 years, 100%, well, I guess it honestly get hit by a space car. If you're training someone for the last 20 years, that means, you know, 40 you're middle age, 60 you're old age. That means you're training somebody from middle age. So you only get 20 years of fun life, 20 years of middle life to work, and 20 years of leading into your death. Boy, that's sucky. Although I guess you can plan your life. Like, you're having kids in your 20s, end of. Because you only have 60. And if you want to meet grandkids, I love the argument, seeing the 7-year-old. If you're going to see outside kids,
yes,
you know, young, but you have to. Like, no one's choosing to have kids in their 40s because you ain't having grandkids. End of story. But the fact, like I said, the fact that there is not even a remote discussion with the species about him being exemption, I found that unbelievable. And the fact that they would sacrifice, they're not thinking that. They're not thinking we'll sacrifice our entire culture for our culture. But if the governor 30 years down the line says, oh, if only we hadn't have killed the guy, I guess my family's going to die now, they would hate the people now. I wish they had more forethought.
Well, they make a point of saying that. She says, well, if your planet's going to die in 30 or 40 years, it's time to let it die.
Yeah.
Because she makes that point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what changes his mind to say, okay, maybe.
Yep.
So that yeah, that's exactly the thing. Like 30 or 40 years is what's left of the planet. If it's your planet's time to die, it's time to die,
And that was such a curveball. Like, you think the conversation is dying down? Yeah, literally. And then she brings up the most poignant point. Why bother?
Yeah.
Why bother?
Yep.
Don't bother. Yeah.
And the story about the wigs with the cage is uncomfortable for the women and cruel for the animal.
Yeah.
Did you get the sense she was talking about herself?
So much context. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, well, she must have been a former woman much like yourself. Like, I expected her to say it was me or my mother or something. Like, but you never find out who it was.
Yeah. Or she just said, oh, that was a Troy back in the day. Like, that would have been, the Troys have always been feisty or yeah. But that's one of those things where we don't always need to have Kirk and Spock. Not everyone needs to be related to everyone sort of situation. But the way she's saying it, she's so proud of the idea, Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a really good scene. It's a very long scene, but it doesn't feel dragged out. And that's why this episode is these two actors. And it's not what you expect from either of them, actually, as knowing both of them from other things. It's very, very good acting. Yeah.
And it does a very good job of pointing out both sides of the argument.
Yep.
And having no real answers.
But like I said, I just wish, because they'll save the planet, I think planet saving should trump personal society. I think that's the exception to the rule. But if you make an exception, you start making more exceptions, But I guess you're choosing to die then. But whatever. Yeah. Potentially die. 30 years.
Then we got a scene in engineering, and I love again how there's the graphic of the sun on the one side where usually the engine thing is, and that gets replaced. Like, that was a nice touch, because you think, those are cutouts essentially, so you don't really see them used that often in that way. So really appreciate that. Fleet Pod Swiftback, $5.
Thank you.
I love any Loxana Troy episode, even the annoying ones. This is by far one of the best, featuring her. Majel and David worked well together, in my opinion. Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, such unusual chemistry.
Yeah. And
this is such a bittersweet scene, and you feel it. It's dripping with bittersweet, Especially as these two guys now know he's going to die in 3 days. And there's that little bit of undertone of a little bit of context there. And he gets a eureka moment. And he says, with enough time, I could...
Yep. Yeah.
It's good. It's well written.
Yeah. Neutrino drift. Or neutrino migration, sorry.
I'm not quite sold on the technobabble in this scene, but they all said it, so...
The technobabble in this isn't an important thing in this story, unfortunately. It's just a catalyst, if you will.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, he goes to see Picard and says, well, I'd like to request asylum aboard the Enterprise. And then talks to the science minister, who can't believe what's happening. And I love how he asks, are you okay? Are you being coerced? And he said, not coerced. It might be influenced, but not coerced.
Although, if you were being coerced, you wouldn't say you're being coerced.
Exactly.
I always find that a bit of an odd thing. Are you a hostage? No. Just off camera. It's like we... But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Picard ensures that he's still, he's free to go wherever he wants, do what he wants to do. But yeah. So they send up to ships, which okay, we don't know their capabilities necessarily, but whatever. They seem like they're going to get the shit kicked out of them real quick by the Enterprise, but whatever.
Yeah, and briefly before we get to that scene, briefly, love the guy's acting and ask for asylum. I love his pause.
Yeah.
But he does feel committed. I appreciate he's not, he feels sure. But it's like we often wake up with one suddenly changed mind, and as we suddenly mull on it over the day, our minds change because something happened, our subconscious, etc. And yeah, I found this battle thing. Oh yeah, there's Beverly. Bye Beverly. First of all, wasn't it weird how those ships look? I don't have to wait for the live, but when we see that shot of the not Bajoran raiders, not Bajoran freighters, sorry, they look so weirdly color graded, like as if there's digital, like just their paint job is really weird. I like the glowies, but I didn't buy for a single microsecond their win against the Enterprise, and so I felt zero tension here. And when there's like when they say, I don't want any bloodshed, I'm hoping one of them would say, it won't be our blood.
Yeah.
Like, they can fire on us and they'll die. Like, maybe they're all 60, it's fine. Pilot with the 60-year-olds! We did your job for you! So I just wish they just left or something. Because if you're telling me, and they don't say it obviously, but if you're telling me this planet has no resources and no society beyond this planet has the same technological level as the flagship of a mighty federation of hundreds of years, nope. No, sir. These ships are garbage. Can't do a damn thing. I kind of wish there was some sense of this isn't a battle of weapons, it's a battle of words. And, yeah. It's not dwelled on, but there's less than zero tension.
Yeah.
It's like those torpedoes we fired at the sun? Oh, yeah, they could blow them up. They're not even weapons, they're probes. Gone,
But Beverly's there to say, yeah, we should probably get out of their way. All right, cool, thanks. That's just such a weird scene.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Just wanted to be in this one, I guess. Anyway, so he says we must transmit new information, and he tries, and they've locked him out of essentially the science ministry link up, and I love how he gets mad. And he's like, even if I find the answer, you won't accept it. Like. It would be so frustrating. Because I do choose not to terminate my life, they will terminate my work. And then right before we see Loxana standing there, he says, alive, I am a greater threat to my world than a dying sun.
And that is
and she hangs her head like this is all kind of because of her. And
and that is harsh.
Yeah.
It's sad because they ain't right, It's like ask the parents who have children, would you rather have this one guy die or all of your children die? I don't think there'd be, you know what I mean? Like I can't believe they have the public, if they actually, I mean that's why government's there to make the decisions, but I can't imagine they'd possibly have public support for this. They're going against their people to support their culture, where their people I'm sure would vote against it. Otherwise, they're just agreeing for mass planetary suicide. Again, they have... Okay, it's a generation. And obviously, since their generations are 60 years, it's like 3 generations. Because if he has grandkids, their generation's only 20 years. So it's 3 generations of people. Fine, whatever. But, And I guess, to be fair, the minister, he won't be alive at that point. So why does he care? I'm not going to be alive to see my son blow up. I've only got to worry about the next 15 years if I am still in politics. And I might not be.
Yeah. Brendan says influence is a form of coercion. Yes, it is. And that's why when they said, are you being coerced? And he's like, no, influence maybe, but not coerced. It's like it's the same thing, essentially. Yeah.
Well, that's a technical definition because as soon as he walked on the ship, every little thing influences subconscious. Maybe he ate 5 new bits of food that make him think, damn, I've never experienced food before. Music? Wow. New type of bed. None of those are coercion, but they are influencing his brain into different patterns. There's a reason why Mormons, as soon as they leave, a lot of them say, oh yeah, I'd rather not be Mormon anymore because the world's bigger and better. It might not be coercion, like coercion is influence, but influence is not coercion. They are different, but one is in the other one.
Oh, I love the way that scene ends in the Red Room, which kind of missed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where he says, "I'm a scientist. I'm not going to start a revolution. Like, this is not my place to change things." Um, it was a nice touch, and it's kind of brought up here in this scene as well, where she's talking to Deanna Troy. I can be an example to my people. I want to live. I see the value in my living and finishing my work. But, you know, contribute. Like, he can still stay on the Enterprise, work with the Federation, save the sun. You know, but yeah, he wouldn't be able to, reach his people or talk to them.
But that's one of those, they have an hour deadline before they start shooting. In reality, if it takes them 3 years to fix it, comes back, solves the problem, and then sends out, because I'm sure they can send a signal that they can't block their more advanced culture. I'm sure the public would say, oh yeah, the guy saved us, we'll let him off. And maybe he comes back and says, now I'm ready to die, I'm 65, who the fuck cares, I saved 3.8 billion. He's not, but he's thinking, you can't tell that sort of story in 40 minutes. But it's, needs of the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many here, even though the needs of the culture outweigh the needs of the one and the many, which is weird. No one wins here. Literally, no one wins. But society is kept the same. And I like his frustration, certainly at the when he bangs his hand at the console. They're not even listening. What's the point even?
Yeah. And Brendan, sorry your comments were getting deleted. They weren't supposed to be. I don't know what's happening with that. So.
Oh.
Yeah, those are all fine.
Weird.
But then he has a visitor coming on board, and
yes.
he thinks it's the science minister, but it turns out it's his daughter. Ensign Rowe.
Now this is coercion. This is obvious coercion. Sending in the one person who can change your mind, like that actually is coercion.
Yeah.
Well, it's close to.
Well, and I love how he's like, anything you can say to me, you can say to her. And as the daughter, I'd be like, whatever. Like, you've known her for a day. Like, anyway.
Yeah, and also not just that, but the way it's played, if this was any other scene, it would be, my wonderful father, who's a prodigy on our planet, has been mentally changed by an alien on an alien ship. We are right as a culture. We shouldn't be going out to the stars because they've corrupted him. He's only been gone 6 days, and now he's got a girlfriend who I don't know, and maybe she's got pheromones. Like, she's like, this is it looks awful from her perspective. Really, really bad. To have her in the room is really weird. Like tonally, it's just like, ooh, that doesn't make your case any better to have Roxanne in the room, really, does it? Amish, yeah,
No,
sorry,
not
Amish.
at all.
Thanks, Matt.
Because it feels almost like, put yourself in this position as the daughter, and it's like, okay, this federation, this galactic power has come here. You're on their ship. There's this person here. We can't speak freely. We can, but whatever.
That's
We're going
true.
to hear everything.
Yeah.
It feels very much like you're being pressured into this decision. Well, like it's a bad vibe to give off. If you're looking at it from an outside point of view, or as the daughter, it's like,
Now, luckily, Roxana does play it cool for the most part. Like, she doesn't intrude too much into the conversation. She could have made it really, really bad. But yeah, it's a, and that is, as I've said a few times, just, they can either follow or not follow Prime Directive depending if the story, it's either good or bad in the story, It doesn't matter which one it is. If the story just demands that's the right way, they'll change it, which isn't always the best way. But I like this actress overall. I think as Kane, she's legendary. I think she's absolutely just incredible in that role. I don't like Ro particularly, but I don't think you're meant to. So what can I say? She's not a likable character. I do like her when she's. I do like Ro when she fancies Riker that one time. I think she's great in that episode, but she's not playing Ro. So, but I mean, we'll see if I like Ro more this time around. But yeah, it gets very emotional very quickly.
Yes, she's basically like, if you do, you come home, your work is over, it's time for you to
rest.
You've done yeah, you've done all you can. It's time to rest. If you do leave, where will you die? Where will you be buried? It'll break my heart that you won't be buried beside your wife, my mother, and where will I be buried? I won't be buried next to you. Like, very, very interesting perspective.
Although obviously
But
she'll be dead, or the planet will be blown up before she dies.
yeah,
So that's and that would be a great retort. Well, what if the planet dies before you're dead? There'll be no one buried. Yeah, that's why do you say that? Well, no one will be buried if the planet gets blown up. I'm doing this so you can be buried next to me. I just want to wait a few years. And I love Roxana saying, when you're older, you'll get different perspective. It would have been nice if she was a younger actress, if she was like a 15-year-old or 17-year-old actress. And like really young, like the naive kind of young. That would have been, I think, like, you know what I mean? Like, then you have that nice... You
yes.
can't understand age yet. You know, even me in my 20s, it's hard to, you know, understand being a 90-year-old. You know, it's such a lot perspective difference. I try, but, you know, it's different. But as a lovely, like, you know, talks about hard hitting, you know, not next to your wife, etc. So that's strong for sure. Although it's, you know, she's also a blank wall of nothing he says will work. She's indoctrinated beyond belief. You know, she'll only ever believe this clearly, and it's kind of, you know, you can't really relate to this character because you know she is just one way. You know, although.
Well, yeah, she says, you know, my father raised me to appreciate the resolution and all that.
Yep.
What have you done to him in this short amount of time?
But that's also a good line.
Yep. But the best line, honestly, is the way this ends with, takes his hand, Father, I love you, but I am ashamed. Turns and looks at her, gives her the stare of death, and then leaves the room.
Mm-hmm.
In a very Roe walking kind of way. She walks, I don't know, she walks like, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Again, this is an actor.
His reaction, his acting, the crying is so good.
And it does break your heart, honestly, because you don't know which way it's going to go. Because the right thing is that he lives, but that's not the point of the episode. You know, it's that moral grey. Both sides have a genuine point. That's the problem, but also the good thing.
Roxana should feel ashamed. She should feel guilty and bad because I don't know. It seems like, you know, this lifelong bond between the father and daughter, and you came in a hot second and ruined it all.
And on a whim, you happened to see him in Transform. You thought, hey, he's hot. I'm gonna do stuff to him on the whim. You know, not some great love story. And what a lovely little. She puts out her hand and he records the entire body, but just enough. And it's just like, ooh. Not nice feels. Not nice feels. And in fact, I think she's. I think she's actually been given darker costumes as the further we go in the episode. I think. I think that's part. She starts so boisterous. Now she's wearing bland brown, and then at the end, even more bland. That must be a symbolic thing. Huh.
Eugene, 250 rubles. Thank you. Paraphrasing Kosh Naranek, they are a dying people, obsessed with each other's death until death is all they can see. So death is all they deserve. Ooh.
Poof. Very poignant. Wow.
Jarzia, $2. Just got my 1-year Trekyards membership badge. Cool. It's been a year since we started the membership stuff. That is cool. What's your badge look like, Jarzia?
Certainly helped. Boy, certainly helped.
Ooh, yeah, it's the fancy one. Ooh, very nice. Fleetpaw Swiftback, $2. I hated the handlebar hair. You know what it reminded me of? Her hair reminded me of like the old Chinese pillows. Well, not really pillows, but like neck supports that they used to sleep on. But yeah, or serving dish or something. And Squadra Course, $2. Love the depth of culture they achieved in one episode. Oh yes, this is exposition done properly. It doesn't feel like exposition.
But they are not giving anyone else anything to do. Like, they are fully committed, so it does feel less, but it's also very full. It's weird, you know. That's why you need longer episodes or two-parters. Why Discovery, for its woes, having 55 minutes helps. You know.
Yeah.
I guess these are also 50 minutes or 45, but you know, longer is important.
But her talking to Deanna, she's like, I'm beginning to doubt myself. You know, was I wrong in encouraging Timothy to choose life? I love this little conversation with not only her daughter but a therapist, counselor.
Yes, that's true.
Um,
Mm.
um, she, she's like, did I do it for myself or did I do it for him? And Marina, Troy's like, well, you did do it for yourself. It is a selfish thing in a way, but that's only human nature essentially. She doesn't say that, but um, yeah, and yeah, it's a good conversation. I've made him lose his faith essentially, and I never considered how deeply ingrained this thing was in the
Which
you know.
you could also argue is that the population is so brainwashed that they'll sacrifice healthy people for a cult-like belief. So you can argue either way. Oh, they're sacred beliefs, or oh, the misguided treatment of people that literally involve killing millions a month. Both are fully arguable.
And she says, there, every culture has good rituals and bad rituals. It's the structure. It's what makes the structure of society. And she's like, well, it's a bad one. From your point of view. Well, it should be the point of view of any reasonably intelligent middle-aged person.
I was waiting thoroughly in this episode for her to say I'm over 60. Because I don't know her age. And to say, because he thinks she looks young. If he would say, well, how old are you? And she's like, 74. He's like, that shouldn't that open your mind to say, oh, wow, you can be amazing at 74. I was very surprised you never got that.
I was too, but I mean, that kind of comes up in the other episode with, where they were talking about when a baby's born and it's defective, that it gets euthanized, and then LaForge would have been, but because he was blind. But I forget what episode that was, but it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, it would have been interesting to throw that in here for sure.
Because I don't see
74.
Because she's not under 60. Sorry.
No.
So why not say? Because this is the whole in this scene she says, I myself which I want to hang out with him. But it's like if you're already 10 years past 60 and you've seen you've had your family. Unfortunately, Jack died. But you've had to be able to say to him, I had my second life after I was 60. That was incredible. It's like there's, in Stargate Atlantis, you've got a similar setup, but you die, I think, at 20 because the energy field has to be maintained a certain size. If population gets too big, they die. So when they say, how old are you? Like 35, they're like, because doesn't even register. Like no one's been that old for generations, and so
This is like Logan's Run, though.
Well, exactly.
When you turn 30, the crystal turns red. You die. Well, you don't die. You go for carousel, and you get essentially killed. So it's just a society of young, vibrant people.
Yeah.
But there's people on the outside of it that are, like gray hair and beards. And it's like, oh, we've never seen that before. So yeah, it's the same thing like with Logan's Run.
And Devereaux does say Vulcans live up to 200 or over 200, but like how Sarek was at the end, we don't want to live until 200, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then he walks in, and you made the choice. Oh no, briefly before we do that, I was really surprised how doubting herself she was. Roxanne is not this character, which shows you how much she's learned this episode.
Yeah.
She's never this dark or I might be wrong. She's never that. But then he walks in.
Yeah. And basically says he's going down to do it, and he says I'm not that selfish. I'm not the kind of person that can lead the revolt. So although he might agree with the situation, he's doesn't feel like he's in the position or the whatever to actually make change. Yeah.
I think these words selfish felt dumb given the fact that it's selfish not to let everyone die. Like it's selfish to put your own, what do they call it? What do they call the death thing?
Oh, the resolution.
Yeah, isn't it selfish to prioritize your own resolution over the entire population that may live? Like that to me is more selfish. Like imagine if it was a reverse. Imagine if you wanted to die because I've been waiting for this retirement party my entire life, and everyone's like, no, we want to live. And he's like, no, I'm dying, bitch. Like that's like him dying feels more selfish than living. But that guy just the greater good is such an important value. Saving billions. outnumbers one guy. I'm sorry, like you can't justify the math there.
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Yes, we know.
Except when they don't, which is often.
Exactly.
But I love him saying though, you almost got me, and his acting there is so spot on. It's really both heart wrenching but also nice. Although I don't buy he loves her. I thought that was too far, but whatever.
Yeah. Number one special, $5. To my favorite command crew. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Yes, we do try.
Yeah, this whole last scene where Picard's like, if you're doing this to these diplomatic relations,
don't.
Like, no, it's not that. Yeah. When the time's right, I'll encourage my people to seek your assistance again.
Although you can imagine they're going to be more xenophobic again. The one time they trusted, we almost broke our entire culture. Yeah.
He says that to her in the hallway. This will make things worse if I don't. That was during the whole conversation whether he should or shouldn't. If I don't go back, it'll make things worse for my whole planet because they'll become more xenophobic. Yes.
My assumption is this current governor guy will live, assert that everyone was bad, but then he'll be killed. The next guy will take over and say, "We only got 9 years left. I want to meet my children. Like I want to know my children. I think we're gonna, as with everything, if the time runs down, you start to have different priorities. Like, do you think, like, what if you got to 1 year or 3 years until they just get destroyed, and the governor, the head of the society, is meant to die? Like, are you really going to train a new governor to take over? Like 2 years down, you know what I mean? At what point do they say, yeah, but we got no, What if the main scientist 1 year in, 1 year until the death of the whole I think that it's because they're 3 generations away, assuming that I'm annoyed by that, but I think there'll be more xenophobic for at least another 10 years, until Lower Decks.
Well, no, because word of this isn't going to get out. This is going to be very with the daughter and the science minister. They're going to keep it because he's changed his mind. He's coming back.
Yeah,
he wants to pass on the research that he did figure out what happened with the neutron migration in the star to the next person, so that research can be carried on. So I don't think it's going to become I don't know. And like you said, I'm going to encourage them when the time is right to seek your help again. So he's going to put the good word in essentially at the end,
But by saying I'll put the good word in, certainly implies they won't be asking for a while. Like there is not another guy waiting to take over, and like there's no experiment planned in 6 months.
That's to talk to the science minister and say, when it's time,
But
I don't know.
But even if they don't, I didn't think it was going to be widespread. But that's a good comment for sure. I would still think that they could put enough political pressure that like with any secret, it'll get to the president of the whole country and planet and say, yeah, we let one guy go that one time and he got corrupted. Like that knowledge would put them behind. Doesn't matter if the public know it.
Mm-hmm.
The main people know. Because are they going to risk it with the next scientist with the Federation? What if he, who's younger, suddenly... Although I guess you just hire a younger guy because he won't have the same issues. So I guess you could handle it that way. He was just a bad luck.
Yeah. 98 likes. Let's get 2 more likes to get to 100.
100, come on. Yeah.
This is the end. I mean, she comes in and says, don't worry, I'm not going to cause any problems down there, but, it is your custom to have your loved ones there, and I want to be there. I love how she says to Picard, though, don't worry, I won't cause any problems. It's like, can I really trust you?
No.
I can just see her standing up and be like, this is wrong. I mean, she does that later in another episode, I think, with the marriage or something. Or was it before? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I can see she's the kind of character that would do that, but at the same time, her respect for Tennyson would cancel that out, so...
Yeah, I just like the moment that he looks at the door several times in his chat with Picard, and it's very gently subtle until Picard's like, should we wait a minute? Like, you've got minutes, it's fine. He's like, I know we said our byes, and she comes in.
Yeah, we already said our goodbyes, yeah.
And he's really surprised, but I like we as the audience know as soon as she brings a bag in, what they're doing. I just felt sorry... Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, and that made me think, how long is she going to be down there? She doesn't say to Picard, you're going to wait for me? Like, I would say, should I wait for you in orbit? What are we doing here? Are you taking your bit? What's going on? It's just a small thing, but
No, it was not though, because they've sort of been asked to leave in the abstract, especially as the political turmoil is now there, and there's clearly no indication they're going to do more science tomorrow. But they're sending a outsider without permission who's changed their entire cultural spectrum down to a planet of xenophobes without anyone's approval. They're going to be very pissed at you, not like
breaking the
it.
Prime Directive.
Well,
It was 9 times in the last episode. This is number 10.
but they're not pre-warp, otherwise they wouldn't be able to ask for our help. So, not Prime Directive. It's more just the non-interference of general. But the fact, she's now screwed the rest of the crew because they now have to wait in range for 3 days until he dies. And what, is she going to come straight up as soon as she dies? I imagine the family's going to say, "Get the fuck off our planet. You were there, brilliant, but get the fuck off." And so they're going to warp in, and she's going to be hurry to the transporter and leave. That's going to be a horrible last 5 minutes on the planet. You know what I mean? Because they're going to hate her. Of course they are. Doesn't matter how she fought until the last second to keep him there. And so, Picard's like, "We were going to go to the Barzan colony for some archaeology. We have 3 days of leave. Guess that's cancelled." Doesn't even ask permission. Not that, I just, this is an odd end. I don't think it was a fast ending, though. I can't agree with you from what you said at the start. I think it builds up to itself quite well. So I think it's actually quite a gentle and okay.
From the conversation with the daughter to, I'm going back, bye, transporter room. That's what I mean. This last 2 scenes, I think there would have been more conversation, but they kind of wrapped that up with the middle conversation. So
I guess we've seen some extremely quick wrap-ups where they're 45 seconds, we've just solved the problem, now we're done. I think to TNG, this is a very long wrap-up. But to a normal TV show, certainly, they needed one more scene.
But to such a moral dilemma, it's a quick wrap-up. I don't want to kill myself to, I'm definitely going to go kill myself because I'm not the one that to start a revolution. Bye.
But it shows how just mentioning your family, you understand why. There was a knife that she stuck into his heart. It worked. Like I said, she manipulated him to the nth degree, which was an episode a few ago. Yeah. Dang.
Sean Corpier, $2.
Dang.
Screw your pride and save your people. Yes, exactly.
And it's sad the daughter can't also see that either.
Fleet Pass Swiftback, $2, 100 likes. Thank you. 101 likes now. If you haven't hit the like button, hit that like button. Mm-hmm. And Squadra Course, $2. We were so lucky to have Major Barrett in Trek. Yes, we were.
Not sure if it's a luck rather than she knew the boss quite well.
Well, that's it for the episode. So, guys, now's your chance to put in your scores. If you want to super chat your scores, we'd really appreciate it. I think another $30 would be awesome.
We need it, guys.
If you can, I will read the super chat scores after we've given our reviews and stuff. We're doing for all of TNG and for season 4 as far as ranks go. So.
And obviously, I don't know if you've changed your mind having this full discussion because you came in slightly less positive. I'd love to know how you feel now after we lasted almost a full 2 hours. So it was a pretty in-depth conversation.
Honestly, it hasn't changed much. Like I said, when I went into it, I was like, oh god, this one. I just wasn't looking forward to it. Enjoyed it a little bit more than I anticipated on the watch through, but didn't feel long enough. It felt very short. There's not much here. That being said, discussing it definitely made me feel a little bit better about some of the things that I felt were kind of glazed over, especially the ending, like you said. So maybe it's changed my mind a little bit. Sure. Everybody had an appropriate character moment except for Dr. Crusher. Yeah. Look, I'm on the bridge too. We should get out of their way. Yeah. Well, why are you even here?
Yeah.
Anyway, neither here nor there. But other than that, I thought it was great and better than I remember for sure. So,
and I think obviously I came from a very different perspective. I was able to focus more on the script stuff, the story stuff. Whereas if you don't like the premise, you're gonna gloss over that stuff. Whereas when I start seeing what I see, hopefully you can kind of see there's more layers to it that you may have necessarily picked up in the first go round.
Yeah. 4. Oof. Some really, really good scripted dialogue in this, but it's not from many of the regular cast members, really. It's very much a special guest star kind of thing.
Well, they're both special guest stars. Like, the primary regular is Troy, and she's always given the least to do. It's weird.
Yeah. Wow. But it's also one that doesn't have to be Star Trek related. It's not necessarily a sci-fi concept. This could be like another culture, from another,
And that's why I compare it to TOS, because it's just a TOS moral message meaning. There isn't Romulans, there isn't the Klingons, there isn't the Starfleet so much,
Yeah.
It's a simple but effective. I just wish there was more tech, sci-fi, more cool stuff that we resonate with, It's like the time the Hathaway fights Enterprise D and the Ferengi. Like, if you swap the aliens with anybody, it's anybody. But it's like, oh, it's so much Star Trek we're seeing. The tech and the ships and the characters, and that's great for us.
Yeah. So this one almost should be judged differently. Like, it should be judged as Star Trek, and then just as a good piece of television. Because I think there's two different ratings there. But
because acting versus enjoyment versus like. Trekkie vibe
versus Star Trek.
Yep.
The Star Trek guys weren't the big players in this, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for season 4, I'm gonna have to give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Very good rating, but not, like I said, not a lot of meat on the bones. Kind of felt a little bit blasé.
You know what it is?
Not really Trek.
This episode there's not much meat, but it's succulent, juicy, tender meat. If that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
Whereas it's not a buffet of best of both worlds throwing us all new things, but it's really tender, well produced. What you've got, as opposed to other times where they're really quite stale or very dry meat.
Yeah. And I'd say for all of TNG, as a whole, I'm gonna have to. Unfortunately, it's gonna be lower. I think. It's just enjoyment factor is not there for me. This is not one I'd want to rewatch. Kind of get depressing. I'm gonna have to give it a 5.5 out of 10 for all of TNG. So,
but with the slight caveat that that's not 5.5 of quality. That's of your personal review score out of TNG. That's why all of these are caveated with. That's how what we
enjoyment factor.
Yeah. We can both enjoy a sci-fi episode more than a deep one, but absolutely. Similar boat. I was defending it in a sense that I get the writing, the acting, but it's not certainly a fun one to watch. Kind of last week, it's not a fun one to watch. Drumhead, you're not gonna put it on to enjoy yourself. But that's not the point of it, is it? Obviously not. But I think I knew enough about it to going in to remember, but I was definitely impressed. But you'll forget the acting quite quickly. You'll forget the moments quite quickly because they are so there in the moment. But it might be Roxana's best episode, but she's also not playing Roxana. You know what I mean? She's playing the 3-dimensional non-gimmick character, which is weird. She could be anybody, and that's okay. She does good, right? Oi.
Heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, I have. Okay, let me just Google one thing. Which one was that? Interesting. That was a long time ago. Okay. Based on another episode that I'm seeing the score I gave it.
Which I don't do this, guys. I don't look at my old scores, so you guys know.
I don't normally do it either, but I felt this is an important one. I've got to have some So I'm going to give it a 6 for this season because it's definitely of a lower end for this season. All TNG, probably a 5.5 as well. Which actually means I'm giving a lower score, Stuart, than you. Which is not might seem odd, but you know, I'm thinking the grand scale of TNG, etc. Maybe a 6 TNG. No, okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. So at least we're, you know, at least in one way I'm going to get higher than you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But it needs more sci-fi, and it wouldn't take much to make it like an 8, for me, you know. But the acting and the writing is like a 9, at least most of it. But I don't just look for that. Oi, terrible.
Well, so those are our scores, guys.
Yeah. And we need
if you guys
$7
want...
more. So 7.
I was gonna say 10, but okay.
Hey! 10. I'll go with 10.
Round it up.
Round it up.
And don't forget, guys, the last super chat slot is there right now. Sean Corpier has it, so if you want to lock and load your super chat bullets for sniping, go ahead. We'd appreciate it. All right, so let's get into these super chat scores.
Yes. What do you think?
Sean Corpier, $5, 7 out of 10. Majella was great in this and most of her episodes. Yes. Fleet Paw Swiftback, $5, 8 out of 10 for season 4, 7 out of 10 for TNG. Great moral dilemma episode. The Loxana is always a treat. David's only Trek appearance was a real treat. Very strong episode indeed. Yes, indeed.
Do you think you give it a higher score if this was a TOS episode?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
It would depend who the Loxana is, though. It would probably be Kirk in this instance.
No, it'd be Bones.
Falling in love with a lady.
No, it'd be McCoy.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right, yes. Or Scotty.
Yeah, I think Bones would make more sense, but Scotty would be more interesting to see. If they felt generous to giving doing some more stuff.
He's got 1 or 2 romances in the course of TOS. But yeah.
Scotty would be interesting, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we get a higher score as TOS for me, honestly, but yeah.
Oh.
Matt Boardman puts in $2 and Snipe War. Snipe, thank you,
Whoa! Missed that barely.
Sean Corpier, $5. Samuel's hungry, tender and juicy, succulent.
I'm a little bit, actually. Yeah.
Matt Boardman, $10. Oh, thank you, Matt. Lock and load.
Saddle up.
Saddle up. Lock and load.
It's a classic line. Don't know why you're saying it, but classic line. It's such an undated thing to say, but it's classic line. I love that phase rifle is just over there. I love that. I'm
surprised Matt didn't say, I could tell you. It's classified. I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Oh. Maybe he will.
It was inverted. Bullshit. No, he was banned. He was inverted. It was really great. Anyway, Jonathan C, $2, 4 out of 10. Better than most Loxana, but not great.
Oof. Oof. Oof.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Jarzia, $5. And Ozzy also has his 1-year badge. He was talking about that in the comments. So thank you, Ozzy and Jarzia, for being a member for so long. That was
amazing. Awesome. We can't overvalue that. That support through the good times was like icing on the cake to help us do invest in new cameras. I mean, this is all because of that. But now in the darker times without the new shows, that is fucking essential.
Dark times.
But in a good way. We're gonna still do a good. I mean, we've found a lot of good stuff. Don't worry. But there's. If you can join the channel, it's a really good way of helping us out and making sure we get to the next show, because we need to get to the next show.
Yeah. So anyway, Jarzia, $5. Have a $5. Not really sure how to rate this one. It's got its moments, and it's an interesting moral dilemma, but some faulty logic. It's okay, I guess. Yeah, that's kind of where our scores lay, right in the middle. So.
I think, though, if you took certain scenes out and just presented them in some sort of class, you'd be like 10. Yes. Excellent. But it's when we look for more, It's like with Drumhead. I wanted more from it, Which is often the problem with, hindsight. I'm sure this was better at the time when this was a more revolutionary thing, It's like if I see any horror film from the past, I will say I wanted more because I have higher standards now. Because obviously they had limited things to make things, unless they're the class they really rise above for the reasons they rise above. Like Saw #1, that's old, but it's not old obviously, but it's older. Well, not that old, but you know what I mean. Like some obviously rise above for a reason, etc., etc.
Yeah. Squadron Course, $5. Thanks for all the Trek, guys. P.S. Please tell Samuel I said it's perfect. It's from Squadra Course. So
Okay.
probably something that you looked at earlier. PS last, and PS someone sniped me. So he was last, and then he got sniped by Fleet Paw with $2 for the snipe Squadra Course. So thank you, guys.
Excellent. Excellent. And it's a good conversation. You know, I thought it was a nice balanced conversation. I love seeing our regulars. Still no Jill. Come on, Jill, where you been?
I was talking to her on Twitter. She said she's okay. I said, I haven't seen you live lately. Make sure you're okay. And she didn't get back to me, even though, I saw her and said, hey, how's it going? She says, good. And I said, okay, I haven't seen you live. And then she didn't get back to me, so I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, she's fine.
We're still here. And now that's the main thing. So next...
Of course, $2. Thanks, Sweet Pot. Dope. Good job. Now you're last super chat again.
The power. So next episode is when I had to rewatch mostly for our Discovery content. The first Trill episode with the controversy that they're not a Trill. I'm like, oh yeah, but it's like saying TOS aren't Klingons. Like, yeah, they're still Klingons. Yeah, a Riker episode. Well, no, this is and then I watched the next time on the Blu-ray, and to go from a Loxana romance plot to a Beverly romance plot was quite like, oh, 2 in a row, and the side characters or the secondaries. So it'd be interesting to see. Like Riker's actually had a lot less this season. I feel like they haven't been as favourable with giving him stuff to do. So I'm kind of excited to see Riker and Beverly because they're all good at stuff. All of them. It's sad. Every single one of the cast is really good. So I'm excited to see where we go with that. I kind of remember it more than other ones because it was recent. Although, boy, in the trailer, they give away everything. Like, they show the Trill, they show him being injured. It's absurdly spoilerific. Like, obviously you need the context, but they give away all the important moments and visuals in the damn trailer. It's like, come on, guys.
Well, I gotta say, I'm not looking forward to it for a few reasons. But
any in particular?
Oh well.
Any?
It's all lovey-dovey shit.
Oh.
Don't care.
Romancing of Stuart is like, nope. Nope.
And I just remember it not being good. I mean...
But then after that we have Mind's Eye, which is... Ooh, see, that one is well, dripping in Star Trek canon. Romulans and Geordie and Klingons and Shooty and Predator Vision.
And Geordies and Klingons, oh my.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, honestly, at least the next 4 all have a very distinct thing about them. We've got the Trill one, the Romulan conspiracy one, the Data humanity one, and the Klingon one. So
in theory, where Data's got his girlfriend, and then Redemption Part 1.
And yes, guys, we do Part 1s and Part 2 separately, just to so you guys know.
And Eugene, 200 rubles. 6 out of 10. Moral Dilemma is difficult, but kind of pointless and a bit out of place. More suitable for Babylon 5. If things turned out the other way, it would still be 6 out of 10. A forgettable episode. Kind of same thinking as us as far as ranking goes. So,
and in fact, I think if it was Babylon 5, they would just force the issue with guns. Like, you wouldn't have the same subtlety. It'd be more just like, no, we're not letting him die. Shoot the guns. So there'd be more direct. But I didn't actually read the non-super chat score, Stuart. Let me just go back for a second and see what that was. I did forget. I apologise. We have a... That's in my ear, guys. 7.7047. 7.57. 10. Oh, for the guest actor. Yeah. 7.5 for Matt Boardman. And 3 for all TNG, so definitely a low one for him. 9, though, that thing you can't find. 9 out of 10. That was it. Nice chill few. So, okay. Either disliked or where we stand, pretty much. Cool. Oh, but Stuart, quickly tease while people still find the super chat slot. What is our top 10 this week going to be?
Ooh, top 10 Romulans. Yeah, we're going to carry on we got such a good reaction to the top 10 Klingons. We'll do top 10 Romulans. That will probably... Do we want to do tomorrow?
Maybe. I know I've got 2 important calls on Thursday and Friday, so be more flexible in those days.
Well, we'll keep your eyes peeled. I don't know when we're doing it.
Yeah.
Either tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday.
No
More
shit.
lives. Don't worry.
Yeah. But that'll be fun because I don't know if there are distinct winners in that. I think there'll be a lot of personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is why I suggested it. I thought it was a really interesting. Like, how far do we go? Yeah.
Yeah, that will be interesting. I haven't even considered that list yet.
No. Yeah. So yeah, tune in. Kind of the sequel to Top 10 Klingons. And to be fair though, and this is all dependent, if you guys turn up, we might have to do Top 10 Ferengi.
Are there 10 Ferengi?
Yes! Yes, there are.
How about top 10 Vorta?
Each Wayoon is different. So
Well,
you have to pick a Wayoon.
I'm thinking like Kevon, and Kevon's creepy.
The lady, the first lady. What the names are.
The one with the upside down ship? That lady?
Yep. Who's like,
I like
yeah,
her.
all my guys died, so can I get a lift back? It's like, what? Yeah, like, they all died. I'm like, help. But I do feel like you've got to at least give a few Wayoons, because there's good Wayoon, bad Wayoon, friendly Wayoon, original Wayoon. Like, there's a few, like,
crazy Wayoon.
Like, they're, like, at the very least, the guy that, like, goes over to our side for an episode, like, he's a different Wayoon, you know? So I would not be surprised if there's several different Wayoons in the top 10 of Water. Because it would be funny.
Yeah. Jarzia, $2. If you list doesn't include Vreenak, it's a fake.
Oh yeah. Ha! That's true. He was good. He was
He'll be on the list.
What do you call him? He's such a I'm better than you, but I'll still chat to you. But the ambassador, who's my dad, says 9.5 out of 10. Top scoring.
What? For what?
The episode we just did.
For top 10 Romulans? Yeah, it's a good idea, I know. For this episode. He's just saying that because he's old. I'm just kidding. He hates me now.
$2 more, guys. We need 2 more. 2 more to round up. Just saying.
Fleet. Oh, that's a good idea. Top 10 Jeffrey Combs appearances. There's got to be at least 10 Jeffrey Combs appearances.
I mean, if you include different Wayoons, which you should, because there are at least a couple of different Wayoon versions that are worth noting. I think 3, but I mean, yeah, there is enough of him to do. To be fair, if you include more than one Wayoon, yeah.
And his Earth equivalency as the detective.
Yeah. Oh,
and Far Beyond the Stars.
Right.
And
you could probably do. If you include the fact that JG's been 4 Klingons, you could do top 10 JG performances. Although the problem with those sorts of ones that, if you do the big ones, you know who's going to get number 1. And so like Romulan, we'll see who gets number 1. But there's so much variety of lower end ones that are pretty interesting. That could be.
William Wells wants top 10 alien babes.
That's a good idea too. I probably should call it top 10 femme fatales or something, just to make it more, universally.
Top 10 Star Trek babes.
There are some good ones.
Because they don't have to be femme fatales. They don't have to be
they
killers.
don't. Oh boy, I gotta make that thumbnail, haven't I? Jesus. It's just Loxana in the mud pit. I've just put black bars. So we know the mud's there, but I had black bars, like, at the important bits.
We should do top 10 Trekyards pinups, because we got a bunch of pinup shirts, so rank them. Anyway, Jarzia, $2, top 10 guest stars.
Also good. Stuart, you writing this down?
Nope.
And guys, we need 22 cents.
Oh, good God.
Because YouTube takes its cut. So in 22... Can anyone give us 22 cents? What is it? Cent or cents? What would you say? Cents. Okay. Let's go to the American accent. 20 cents. Sounds,
You're
you
not
know.
good at an American accent. I'm just going to tell
Oh,
you that right.
I was doing one of them. There's so many of them. Yeah.
You don't do any of them good. I've heard you for 6 years now. Squadron Course, $2. I always liked Okra from The Enemy.
I can't visualize. Is that Romulan? What are we? Oh, yes. Yeah, he's good. That's Geordie's friend. Geordie's friend Romulan. Or just top 10 shoulder pads, who all them best for Romulans. Because, boy, that was an art design choice. Whoo-wee! Some choice. But, guys, thank you. This was fun. Glad we got to the base mount. Appreciate it. We hopefully kept you guys busy, having some fun in this period of staying home doing nothing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, till next time, which will be tomorrow probably. I'm Captain Foley.
Oh.
Eugene, 40 rubles. Top 10 Trekyards top 10s.
We have done a few of those, to be fair. What, and actually we just play them. We pre-record our messages, like, our number 9 is... Plays top 10. And number 8 is... And then just don't do... It's a pre-recorded 22-hour video, and like... Yeah, people super chat.
We could do that.
What a silly thing to do. But funny, yes! Sorry.
Anyway, guys. Yeah, I'm still Captain Foley.
I'm still Corner Cones.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.